with the Celtics now on the brink of the ultimate disappointment that one can have in the NBA, down 3-2 in the NBA Finals to the Golden State Warriors, I decided that there would be nothing better than to have a completely unbiased conversation with one of my favorite ex-colleagues and Knicks fan, Dan Devine. Dan, how are you?
Jason, it's pretty hard to do this with a heavy heart over the Celtics being one win away from elimination today, but I'm going to power through it, and I'm going to try to just, have a stiff upper lip about it.
Dan, how heavy is your heart? And what do you make of this team, the Celtics team that arguably is the better team on paper than the team that they're getting beaten by?
It's almost like they're two teams, right? It's like there's the defense, which is all world and constant, and then there's the offense, which is like completely frenetic and changing constantly from one game to the next. When they don't turn the ball over, they don't lose, and when they do, they are awful. They look like they've barely played together, let alone played like 100 games together. And that's really, it's the kind of thing that you wind up with. Like, Marcus Smart is a point guard, but he's not that kind of point guard that settles everybody down. And I think you sort of see that where, like, Tatum's not quite there as somebody that settles everybody down. Brown is not quite there as somebody that settles everybody down. And, Brown said it last night after game 5. Like, we were kind of looking for somebody to bail us out. And when you look around and it's like the Spider-Man meme, everybody's pointing at everybody else to do it. All of a sudden you wind up like bricking 19 different possessions and losing a game that you definitely could have won.
You brought up something I think is important, which is the Celtics' best three guys, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, are turnover machines. Turnovers are their very, very obvious and loud Achilles heel that everybody, including the Celtics, completely knows about. And one of the main formulations of, the makeups of this team, the DNA of this team is when everything breaks down, Jayson Tatum is the guy who bails us out. He's our Kobe in that sense. But I think what we're seeing is, the strengths of the team are also baked into the weaknesses of the team. Is it possible that they can improve their turnover problem, which absolutely needs to be solved, without either adding to or taking away from this team? For instance, Marcus Smart for Tyus Jones or something like that. Like, this is just me talking about it out of my ass and already driving coffin nails into this version of the Celtics. But is that something that, in your experience, teams have improved without personnel changes?
Well, I think before we go any further, we should note that it's possible Jayson Tatum is just doing sort of a Kobe tribute by shooting 24% in the fourth quarter. That might be just an homage to his hero in this series. But as far as the way that teams improve as, going from turnover prone to kind of more cautious, it is difficult to see that happen with, young guys can get better at that over time, but it's not like Smart is 22 in his third year in the league. Like, a leopard has his spots at a certain point. Ime Udoka has talked a lot about, like, it's kind of just about how we space, and if we space, then our driving lanes are great, our driving kick game is great, we generate beautiful shots. But like, you wonder if maybe in the second year of his sort of offensive system, saying we really have to pay much more attention to the way that we don't like cut into a drive, or we don't mess up and sort of clutter the paint. That could kind of decongest things even more when they play more like 4 out or 5 out, whether it's just Al Horford with 4 wings or just Robert Williams with 4 wings. That really opens things up too, and a lot of those driving lanes are much cleaner, so the reads are a lot simpler. I think some of it is Tatum and Brown are going to, as they, this is their first trip to the finals. They're going to learn how to make some of those reads a little more cleanly, but it might need, instead of 2 bigs all the time, which has been their defensive identity, 4 wings and 1 big, which then sort of creates some different alignments. All of which to say, it's not going to get better like right away. So they have to do a much better job of staying clean in the next game if they want to even have a chance to go to 7, and then we can worry about tomorrow.
Yeah, it's an absolutely perplexing Celtics team that, on the other one hand, is historically great when you look at the underlying numbers post-January, and on the other hand, took 7 games to beat a Miami team that they probably should have beaten in 6. Struggled against the Bucks team without its second best player. Is this kind of just who this Celtics team is, like an incredible defensive juggernaut that is just going to boggle your mind on offense. And I guess to your other point, like this Tatum is 24, young team, Ime Udoka's first year, but we all thought OKC would go to 5 finals. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm a Celtics fan, I would be anxious for that improvement right now. It's not really a question, more just an observation and a willingness to tap into the fears of Celtics fans that use it as fuel for my personal journey in my life.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we all need our batteries, and this is a pretty solid one. Using the anxiety, drawing off it like the Matrix. It's a real concern. You talk about like the Celtics have been a bad crunch time team all year. Like all season long, they've been awful on offense in crunch time. I believe it was the 5th worst clutch time offensive efficiency all throughout the regular season, even worse in the postseason. And it's a function of, like you said, if the bailout option is, okay, Tatum, go to your like turnaround mid-range fadeaway, well, you're not necessarily always generating great looks on that, especially when you've got really good defenders. Like, I mean, the fact that Andrew Wiggins has basically just put Tatum in Alcatraz once they're inside the half court has been totally insane in this series. And like you need abilities to generate easier shots when you get late in the game. And I think they tend to go, because a lot of the drive, that sort of drive and kick creation is just like spread it out, ISO one-on-one, somebody beats somebody off the dribble, collapse the defense and kick. That's a lot harder to do when it's like a loaded up defense at the end of a game and when you've got a really good one-on-one defender on your best creators. So like if it's not smart doing that against like your 3rd best perimeter defender, which he can do, but like do you trust that if you're Boston? I think that's been like kind of like the push and pull when they get really good games from him, or when he's able to get downhill and sort of create in that way, it makes him so much tougher to guard. But then like if he tries to post up Steph and then like spins into 3 bodies and throws the ball away, like all of a sudden they're off to the races. And that's kind of like that is what has been their Achilles heel all season long. It's manifesting in this postseason and this finals in particular. But as you said, like there is tomorrow's not promised for any of these teams to say like, if you don't do it now, well, this will be the beginning of a long run. Maybe. I mean, Al Horford's older. Robert Williams, the health has obviously been a major concern. It was a question mark, like when they looked at when they were going to extend him. Was that going to be something that they really felt comfortable doing? Tatum and Brown, obviously that's a core and something to keep together. But like the East is deep and tough. I don't want to say the East is big. I don't want to invoke Mike Woodson, but like there's a lot of really good teams in the East, and they might only get better. So like you need to seize this opportunity now. And the fact that they got the Steph game they needed, and then they booted it, and that is like to see that. Now it doesn't necessarily mean they can't come out in Game 6 and have a much better performance, but you gotta feel like that was such a golden opportunity that you blew it in Game 5.
Ow! I want to tell you about the easiest and most fun way to spice up your season. It's Underdog Fantasy and their brand new Pick'em game. Just pick over or under your favorite or least favorite player stats, and you could win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players, and you could win some cold hard cash. Use code Takeline. Get your first deposit doubled by the Underdog. They'll double it. Put in $50. They'll put in another $50 just because they like you. That's what they'll do. Up to $100. Sign up and play today. Woof woof.
Let's say the Warriors win this, let's say in 7. Legacy question. We got to do it. We got to ask it. Where do you put this Warriors team in the pantheon of great runs from dominant NBA champions?
I mean, I think the best analog is something like the Spurs. I know that's kind of like that's kind of been Joe Lacob's goal, was like, what if awesome, but for 20 years. And this would be what 4 in 8. That's an incredible starting point. And to be able to say, like, I think the thing that's been most interesting to me about the discussion of this individual bit of the Warriors team is like, well, yeah, I mean, you see when they're struggling, they totally should have packaged Wiseman and Moses Moody and draft picks to go get like insert third guy here. It's like, I think there's like the KD development broke all of our brains, where it's like, well, if a team's not bulletproof and a sentinel, then it's not that good. It's like, no, they are like, this is what the Warriors were like before. They were really good, but it was like relying on Leandro Barbosa minutes in the first season of that run, right? Like, you can be a really good team and have vulnerabilities, and then, like, what makes them compelling is the overcoming of that. What makes the Warriors compelling is, like, can you win on a night where Steph is, 0 for 9 from 3? Can Draymond Green go to the depths of hell and come back up? Can Klay Thompson come back from 2 years away and hit the shots that keep them in contact in the third quarter of a must-win game? Like, the spine of this team, the ability of this core of guys to face down these most difficult moments and then rise above it, like, that's the kind of stuff that's going to go down in history. You will remember the shooting. We'll remember the game sixes for Klay. We'll remember everything that Draymond yelled at everybody. But, like, that's the stuff that makes this team special. And that's why, as they passed, I believe it was last night, they passed Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili for the most or second most finals wins of any trio. I think that's the legacy. I think that's the analog, that kind of core where they got completely laid low and had to come all the way back up and were able to do it at the highest level. And that puts you into awfully rarefied air all time.
Dan Devine, it's really good to catch up with you, especially over a Celtics loss, a crushing Celtics loss. I'm tempted to ask you, is it too soon to worry about Jayson Tatum, being scared of the moment, running from the ground? But we'll leave that for a later date. Maybe after a devastating Celtics loss that actually puts the finals out of reach. And it was great to catch up with you. Thank you for putting up with me calling you on a phone.
Jason, it's my pleasure. And if you excuse me, I got to go back to Ringer Slack, which is all funeral dirges right now. It's all just sadness. It's all Morrissey songs. It's a lot happening there. So I got to hop back over there. But wonderful to catch up with you as well.